Before we start our gesture drawings, I'd like you to warm up on either a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper or a piece of newsprint if you have that, just using a pencil, whatever one you have at hand. But start with an overhand grip like I'm holding the pencil here. Remember, we're not writing, we're drawing. So with writing, we hold with a tripod grip is what we call that. With gesture drawing, we're doing with an overhand grip. And you can see I'm making these very light, rounded marks. And what that is preparing for drawing from the figure. You won't find any straight lines in the human body. We are a collections of elegant curvilinear lines. So I'm warming up and I'm drawing from the shoulder, not from the wrist. So I have a very light touch, and I'm trying to become sensitive to the texture of the paper, the weight of my hand as I apply the pressure to the paper. When we start working from the gesture drawing, look at the image you're working from and look at the longest lines that you see. And in this case, the red lines there indicating the curvature of the chest, the thigh, the front of the lower part of the leg. And I'm starting again with the overhand grip here, and working from the shoulder. Even before I touch the paper, I'm generally making some moves, practicing the lines I want to make, which is a nice curve for the shoulder. Even exaggerate a little bit. The line I started to make there, I'm curving a little more and bending it around. And just a light indicator for the foot. And I'm alternating the pressure I put, but mostly keeping my pencil tip on the drawing. Now that curve there, I'm starting to sort of practice that curve before I commit to it, and then without thinking about it too much, I'm just making that bend in the leg where it drops down and making a little notation of where the foot is. Remember, keep moving around. Don't stop in one area. These drawings are about the overall big picture of the pose of the figure, the action. In this case, the man is running, so we're trying to capture the motion of his limbs. I've switched to just a smaller 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and you notice I'm kind of mimicking the gesture I will need to make to capture his body. And that single line does a fine job of indicating the length from the neck to the knee. And I'm just looking and reacting to what I'm seeing and making these quick, energetic marks. I'm sort of practice in how much pressure you put, how much of the lead of the pencil you put on the paper, whether you have a sharp line or a fuzzier line. These beginning exercises are all about getting you to experiment with the type of marks you're making with the overhand grip technique with the pencil. You should only spend about a minute or two on each of these drawings, so these should be very fast. The minute you find yourself wanting to get pulled into detail, you should stop and move on to another one. Now, with this next stage in the photo of this man running, his leg is moved up and compressed a little bit more, so I'm going to make a note of that as I begin sketching it in. And I'm going to do the same. I've already blocked in those major angles that I'm seeing, sort of reinforcing that compression in the leg, making notes for where the other leg hits the ground, and just continuously moving around the drawing, experimenting with different thicknesses of line, different darkness. I'm even indicating where the hand is, I'm just making a small rectangle, essentially. And I'll do the same for the foot. Just simplify it into just simple shapes. Mainly try to get used to the rhythms you'll find in the human body in all of the curvilinear shapes that you're seeing. There's a certain rhythm that you'll find immediately when you start drawing